There is no reason to let the scale dictate your state of mind or how you view your progress. What is going on, my friends? Welcome back to another episode of Inside Influence, or the Inside Influence podcast. I always forget to put the word podcast at the end of that, but AKA the morning takeaway, as you all probably know it. But that's besides the point. Today, I want to talk to you about the scale and how fundamentally it might be one of my biggest, I don't even know if pet peeve is a word. It's probably the root of all of my frustration. Not all of my frustration, but a lot of my frustration, especially in the fitness world. Now, when I talk about the scale, I'm talking about when you step on the scale every morning and look at a number and let that dictate how you feel throughout the day. And that is exactly the point that I want to drive home, so that you don't do that. Because the scale, in my opinion, is the root of a lot of the self-doubt, a lot of the thoughts and ways that we see ourselves, because we get this overly, I don't think obsessive is the right way to put it, because I do think there is some benefit to seeing your weight every now and then, but when you go on there and you see the scale every single morning, there's so many things that play into what that scale is going to read and what that's going to say to you about your body. Now, without getting too far into it from the start, I want to preface this by saying the scale is good for some measures. However, probably 95% of it is not. And we're going to discuss why it's not, because I believe as a fitness professional that there's so many other ways to calculate your process. And as you know, I speak on a lot of the mental wins, and even just like going on a run, or maybe last week you walked for 30 minutes and you were out of breath, and then next week you're walking for 30 minutes and you're not out of breath. Like, that is a win, that is progress, but the scale's not going to tell you that, right? And there's things that'll trigger in our brains, there's neurotransmitters, there's happy hormones that will literally go off in our brain to make us feel better about ourselves and continue to feel better about ourselves. But if we go on that walk and then we go back on the scale a week later and you're like, oh, what the heck, nothing's working, then it's going to completely frustrate you and might even take you off the path of continuing to build towards your success. So that said, this kind of frustration in this podcast stemmed from one of my clients freaking killing it. He is absolutely killing it. And he sent me kind of a progress report on his InBody, which I'm going to go over mine, but it's basically a way to show your body composition. There's other ways. There's probably the more beneficial, or more accurate, I guess is the right word, ways to measure would be like a DEXA scan, or there's water displacement. There's all kinds of different ways, but this is, in my opinion, just an easy way for somebody to have access to it. You can literally search InBody near me. Most all Lifetime gyms, just call your local gyms and see if they have an InBody, and if they don't, ask if they might have one. But he was sending me a progress report, and he was kind of sending in bits and pieces. Mind you, this guy's lost an incredible amount of weight, and on one of the points, it was right next to his weight, and it said needs progress. And that kind of set me off a little, not in a bad way, but just like, hey, I need to inform him and let him know that to not pay attention to that number. Now, in 6 months, we can pay attention to that number, but for the time being, if that number is not really going anywhere, there's probably a reason for it, especially when you're feeling good, you're seeing the results, you're feeling the results. So what I mean by this, and where we can start, even though I'm 5 minutes into this thing and already freaking rambling on and on, where we should start is the fact that the scale cannot tell you how much muscle you have. The scale cannot differentiate between water, fat, muscle. It has no clue. All it does is weigh you, right? It's literally just saying how much you weigh. And oh, by the way, if you are weighing yourself every single morning, your body weight fluctuates anywhere from 2 to 6 pounds every single day. That's based on how much food you intake, it's how much water and fluids you intake, that's how much you get out of you. There's so many factors that play into this. So weighing yourself on that everyday level is really hard to watch progress, especially if it's playing a mental game with you. If you start to notice like, hey, you have a little bit of like, that was a terrible sound, but like you're kind of moaning and groaning if you see a scale, right? Like it's probably time to take a break from it. But that said, I was talking to him and I was like, hey, there is absolutely no reason why this needs progress. Now let me further explain. Let's say, for example, you put on 10 pounds of muscle. What's gonna happen to the scale? The scale is gonna go up by 10 pounds, right? More than likely, if it's not 10 pounds, it's gonna go up. But what the scale is not gonna understand and what is not gonna tell you is that your body, and this InBody will tell you this, it'll tell you your basal metabolic rate, which is how many calories you're burning at rest, literally while sitting on the freaking couch. So basically your metabolism. And let's take, for instance, you put on that 10 pounds. Well, for every pound of muscle that you put on, your body is going to be able to burn 50 calories at rest. So what does that mean? And that is why people say, if you want to lose weight and you want to lose weight effectively, you need to be strength training. You need to be resistance training. You need to be working in these kinds of protocols because building muscle is in turn gonna burn fat over the long haul. So back to the example. You put on 10 pounds of muscle, 50 calories at rest. Over time, your body collectively, unless you just stop doing what you're doing to get rid of that muscle, you're probably not going to lose the muscle, and chances are the muscle is going to continue to increase and continue to increase, and that body fat percentage is going to continue to decrease, and your metabolism is going to keep going up and up and up. And for that example, if you put on that 10 pounds of muscle, you'll be burning 500 calories at rest. So what does that say? Well, that proves right there, especially, there is no reason to let the scale dictate your state of mind or how you view your progress. Now, how should you view your progress? And on another note, one of the most common group of people that I get this from is a lot of my women clients. Like they'll be talking about, oh my gosh, my torso is getting skinnier. It's, it's the vanity stuff, right? And my butt's getting bigger and everything that they want, but then somehow the scale's going up. And I'm like, okay, if the scale's going up, don't pay any attention to it. Talk to me in 2 weeks. And in 2 weeks, when the weight starts to go back down, they're like, wait, what's going on? It's literally happening before your eyes. Now, again, you can't just lift weights and build muscle and expect to lose weight without eating right. Now, the nutrition and how you fuel your body is absolutely 80%, 90% even going to dictate how you look and how you feel, especially how you feel. Like that is, if there's one thing that I could drive home to anybody, this is a total podcast for another time, but it's to recognize how you feel after you eat certain things, right? Because if you put good in, your body's gonna give you good out. And if you put crap in, you're probably gonna put crap out, right? You're gonna feel like crap. So anyways, that's kind of the point I want to make, in the sense that the scale, it just has so little value to me. And I think I could probably go on a lot of different points on that, but I think I've kind of driven it home and I've spoken pretty passionately about it. But I want to go over this InBody, and I'm just going to kind of tell you, if you were to get one done, what to pay attention to. And I know you're not going to be able to see this, but I'll kind of give you a breakdown. I'm going to say what it gives you first, and then I'm going to tell you what I want to hone in on. So it gives you the total amount of water in your body. It gives you the dry lean mass. It gives you your body fat mass. So that's basically what you're storing for excess energy. Gives you your weight. Then it gives you, breaking down that weight, it gives you your skeletal muscle mass, and it gives you your body fat mass. Then it goes into, so that's your muscle fat analysis. Then it goes into the obesity analysis, which first it gives you your body mass index, which right here, by the way, the BMI is the worst way that you can calculate your health. Like people, you can literally go in and type in BMI calculator, and if I were to do that, it would tell you that me specifically was morbidly obese. It's so outdated. It's one of the first things that ever came out. So if you ever do that online, do not trust that either. We could do a whole podcast on that. So, and this one again it's taking those numbers. You can't measure the BMI based on anything other than the metrics that it asks. So again, it's literally based on your height and weight, and then it tells you your body fat percentage, right? So that's the one that we want to pay attention to. That's the biggest measure of progress, and the main reason why I like people to get these InBodies. And by the way, this is what I used to go over with people when I worked at Equinox. Every single time I would start with them, because this is where we would measure progress. We keep a little graph, watch the linear progression or delinear progression, and then it goes into, it breaks down your body right here. It takes your trunk and how much weight you have, then it gives you a percentage, and that basically says how lean you are, and you want that to be anywhere probably around 100%. Above 100% is great. And then it gives you literally the segmental lean analysis of your left arm, left leg, right leg. And that's pretty much the big overview. Then it gives you the lean body mass, your basal metabolic rate, and your SMI. We don't need to pay attention to the SMI, but basal metabolic rate is huge. So we'll start there. The basal metabolic rate is, again, how many calories you're burning at rest. For reference, if you want to, you should not compare, but my basal metabolic rate is 2,483 kcals. So that means that I can burn 2,483 calories at rest. So again, I'm very active, my metabolism is very high, these are things that I train for. That is probably a little skewed than the normal, quote unquote, like, I'm very fortunate. I get to work out every day for a very long time, and thanks to you guys, that's pretty much why, because of you guys, that I get to do what I do. But that is super, super important to pay attention to, and as you get older, that number is probably going to decrease a little, but you can keep these things up and try to target increasing them by doing resistance training, by doing strength training. It's just the same thing, but just using weights to load your body. So basal metabolic rate, great. Next thing I would pay attention to, I don't really talk about total body water, drain mass, dry lean mass, body fat mass, or weight. I don't really look at any of that. If I'm interested in how much water I have in my body, great, whatever. The next thing that I look at is the skeletal muscle mass. I have 126 pounds of my 234 pounds of muscle that is skeletal muscle mass. That's pretty high. Which is good. You want the more skeletal muscle mass that you can put on, the higher that basal metabolic rate is going to be, and probably the lower your body fat percentage is going to be. So again, the next section would be, the next number I would pay attention to after basal metabolic rate and your skeletal muscle mass would be your percent body fat. Now, I'm 8.1% body fat. I do not expect you to be 8% body fat. If I was talking to somebody right now, like for that client in particular, I want him to get down to about 18% body fat, because I know that 12 to 18% is going to be really good. Even 15 to 18%, it's going to make you feel that much different and that much better. So that's kind of a good measure to go off of. The 8% again, I'm a crazy guru about it, right? And not that I'm trying to be 8%, that's just how my body functions, and I've figured out my own processes that have worked the best for me to feel the best. I've been as low as 5% body fat before, but it's not sustainable, and I don't feel as good and as mentally clear as I do right now at 8%. So, and that's ultimately what matters at the end of the day. So that'll be the last one you look at, and again, that's what you really, really want to pay attention to if you are able to get your hands on an InBody, a DEXA scan, or some way to track your progress. And again, that's gonna go down as your skeletal muscle mass goes up, and that comes from strength training, resistance training, and maybe some kind of high intensity cardio, sprinting, just working those forms of cardio as well. Steady state cardio, it's like, that would be more zone 2 cardio. So working for about 20 to 45 minutes, 30 minutes is kind of a sweet spot. But again, could make a whole podcast on that. If so, let me know in the comments and I'd be happy to talk on it. Just express some more knowledge. I could nerd out about this stuff all day long. And then if you want some reference, my left arm is 148%, right arm is 150%, left leg is 118%, right leg is 120%. So as you can tell right there, we're all asymmetrical humans. No one is going to be identically symmetrical. I guess that's the definition of symmetrical, is being identical on both sides. So I don't know why I just said identically symmetrical. Is that like an oxymoron? Anyways, so as you can tell, I'm kind of right arm, right leg heavy. That is also a way to say, hey, like maybe we need to put a little more focus on the left side, right? And maybe some core. So, and then my core right here is 129%. So all above 100%, which means I specifically am in a good spot as far as the segmental lean analysis goes. So that might be a lot of random words that don't make any sense to you, but I hope I was able to explain something that clicked or maybe gave you a little bit of value to how you can track your progress and what to pay attention to. Again, that would be your basal metabolic rate, your skeletal muscle mass, and above all else, your percent body fat, your body fat percentage. So, and screw the weight. No one cares about the weight. Look at that when you're a year in and you're like, holy crap, I've lost 100 pounds. Because you could look at yourself and be like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy with what I see, but the scale's not saying it. And that completely, again, full circle from the beginning of the podcast, it could completely change your mood, how you view yourself, and ultimately how you go about your day. And that is not a recipe for success. It's not sustainable. And I hope that that resonates with you, because I want you to feel good and I want you to go through your life enjoying your life and feeling confident and feeling good in your own skin. So I'm gonna wrap it up right there. I'm gonna go with a random question generator here. What is something that you believe you'll never be able to do well? I never believe that I will be able to look at a scale with the right mindset. That was just, they had that one coming. They set me up for that. Something I'll never be able to do well. I'm not really a believer in never say never. So, no, I am a believer in never say never. So I don't really want to say that there's nothing I can't be good at. What were you most afraid of when you were younger? Do you still have that fear? I absolutely hated walking up the stairs, running up the stairs in the dark. Or if my mom told me to go outside, we lived kind of in the country, go outside to do something when it was dark out and the crickets were going, I just felt like a freaking mountain lion was gonna eat me. I don't know. I don't still have those fears, but I can vividly remember just being absolutely freaked. So anyways, I hope you were able to take something away. I appreciate you listening. Hopefully there was some kind of nugget of value for you. If there was, please share the show with somebody that you think might need to hear it. I appreciate you listening. I truly, truly enjoy getting on here and talking about this kind of stuff and relating just health and wellness and fitness, your physical health with your mental health. It's what I'm most freaking passionate about, and I'll leave you with that. So again, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, turn on the bell icon so you're the first one to get my videos. I will see you next week. Have an awesome freaking day, and don't forget to smile.